But if you have to make a choice between like an experiment that seems like it's going to increase size of card or GMS in some short-term way, that's a hard thing to say no to, even if there's going to be some negative impact along the way. I'll just add like one example, because it's like sometimes people, I think even inside Amazon, would sort of get this wrong, and I think we've all learned over years, like, okay, there's a too far. There are always things that customers might like more in some way, but like doesn't really serve the long-term interest of serving them. And I have sort of two examples in mind. I'll just share the first at this point. When Amazon has a popular service in the US, it's called Subscribe and Save. I think it might be labeled something slightly differently outside the US. It's basically you can sign up for like toothpaste or products you need on a regular basis shipped to you. And you get a discount in exchange for it. At an early point in the program, I recall being in meetings, and there was like a serious cost issue to it. It's a very expensive program to run. And one of the core reasons is when you chose something, it was dispatched like on that cycle you suggested. So on the day it was. So if you bought like toothpaste today, you get it every month roughly today, if today was like the 22nd. If you ordered a toothbrush a day later, you might get that pretty much a month later. So you might be getting like 15 of these deliveries. And from a customer centricity point of view, this makes sense. Like you want this product and you send it soon. Why have a delay? I recall when Jeff and other folks looked at it more deeply, they said, no, that's actually not the right decision in the long term for the customer, because like we're just bleeding out from the splits problem, which I think a lot of people recognize from shipping. Two things, they're all going in different boxes. It's just super expensive. It's actually getting in the way of the core thing we want the program to do, which is like regular delivery at the best price that we can offer. And we're sort of like hamstrung by not being able to offer that price because like we're bleeding it out on this thing. And if you ask the customer, do you want everything to come the day you ordered it? They might say yes. But if they really understood the fullness of the situation, I think they would probably, in most cases, prefer to have it cheaper. Otherwise, they would order it with a Prime subscription or something else without the discount. So it's not like the customer, you'll make decisions that are not great in the long term. But I think to the exec's point you mentioned, if you just said, hey, we're going to make more money, that would cause a lot of alarm bells to go off to say, like, well, at what cost? And is this really the long-term vision that we want to have?
So if we take that problem that you just raised there, what was the solution to that? How do you deal with that huge variety of somebody saying, well, they ordered the toothbrush on the 1st, the toothpaste on the 5th, the something else on the 10th? How do you deal with those? How do you even recognize those as signals in your system?
Yeah. Well, I think, like the team themselves, so to be fair to the team, we're actually a very complicated problem, and it was quite a long time ago. So I'm probably not going to do justice to all the depth of thinking that they had. And, the simplicity in which I presented it, like, well, we just shipped it whenever, is probably not fair either. But going to your question, they got to the problem because the team themselves, was constantly trying to understand exactly what is the distribution of work that is happening from this program. It wasn't just like we sold this many things. They had many, many layers deep understanding about what was being shipped, what warehouse was being shipped from. And I think the team themselves almost certainly surfaced the splits problem and then was able to look at like how many of the splits were somewhat unavoidable or really hard to fix. Like one was coming, let's say, from FC in Michigan and one from New York City, and putting them in the same box, that wasn't going to happen without some other cost. And then some percentage of those splits were like right in the Michigan area, and like we just happened to ship them 3 days apart. So it was like the diving deep to really understand that, which would have come from the team themselves. But if it hadn't come up, like most execs at Amazon would be like, well, where's the data? And not just like, what's the conclusion, but let's get into the actual details. So first of all, the team surfaced that information. That's almost certainly how it came up, because when I was in meetings, that was already in place. And, with the topic of conversation, like we found this problem, it's expensive, this is why. And I think, the solution turned out to be relatively simple. Like there was an assumption that we should get it out as quickly as possible to the customer. But I think through probably some basic heuristics, like, well, if it's delayed for a week or two, as long as we're very clear what's happening, putting them together in the same box by sort of like time constricting when the orders are. So things like within a week or two would be set to a schedule. That would probably be okay. So Amazon's general view is like, we'll do things that are simplifying for us, We're going to be super transparent with the customer, and we're going to give them a choice. So, now when you add something to your subscribe and save, I've noticed it's very clear, like, which order it's going to be added to. Like, you will get everything on this month. You have every opportunity to not do that. So you're making a choice. You could always get it, faster with less friction, but like you're forced to sort of stop and think, do I want it tomorrow? I'll just do it with my Prime. I'll pay the best price available. Or do I want it, every month on the 15th to do that?